First tonight, the death of George Floyd sparked weeks of protests across the U.S., with many demonstrators calling for police reform in response to what they see as systemic racism. Tonight, in a story you'll only see on News 5, our Colette Bordelon sits down with Colorado Springs Police Chief Vince Niski, asking him questions that you want answered.
After covering our local protests for weeks, I heard several topics come up repeatedly, centered around building trust and more transparency.
Who's got my back? I got your back. Who's got my back? I got your back.
With chants that fill the air.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
And symbols for all to see. Tensions coming to a head.
And in the name of the people of the state of Colorado, I command you to immediately disperse.
A little over a month ago, a boiling point between police and protesters. Colorado Springs Police Chief Vince Niski agrees to sit down and talk with us, addressing what happened in the past while shining light on the department's future. Would you argue that there is systemic racism that does need to be addressed within police departments across the country?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think you can judge an organization based on the actions of a few.
The chief is a 30-year veteran of law enforcement, spending all his time right here in Colorado Springs. He says the job has come with its fair share of challenges throughout the years.
I'm not going to lie and say, oh, this is just like anything else. It's not like anything else.
He says the goal of the department is to be diverse and reflect the community they serve.
I think the difficulty for us is going to be to convince some minorities that policing is a viable profession.
Analyzing numbers from the 2020 census for the Springs, around 80% of people are white, more than 15% Hispanic or Latino, and just over 6% are black. When breaking down numbers given to us by CSPD, we found about 85% of personnel are white, 12% Hispanic or Latino, and an estimated 4% are black.
The best way to implement change is to be part of that agency.
Even though they have more employees than any other city agency, Chief Niski says he needs more officers on the force to keep up with the growing city, already spending most of their money on existing salaries and employee benefits.
We are not responding the way we want to respond. So if I was to lose part of our budget to defund us for other organizational needs, it would impact our response to the community.
And building trust within the community is another area demonstrators say needs to be improved. Wanting more transparency when it comes to releasing body camera video, which officers are allowed to turn off or mute when talking to each other.
They could be talking about tactics.
He believes those discussions have no relevance in court and that recording everything isn't cheap. Data storage costs the department more than $500,000 every year.
There's possibilities that the video will never be watched by anybody inside the department.
Niski points out officers can be disciplined for violating their body-worn camera policy, but the consequences vary based on prior offenses.
Body-worn cameras are a bigger benefit to the organization than they are a detriment.
The chief says one of their biggest goals moving forward, communication with the community.
You have a police department that is about service. It is about humility, it is about responsiveness, and it's about honor.
With new projects on the horizon for the department, aiming to help build public trust. There are two projects in the works right now. First, CSPD is developing a leadership steering committee designed to meet once a month and bring together people from across the city to have candid conversations about what's happening in the community as it relates to law enforcement. Second, in the interest of transparency, CSPD will be gathering their data, putting it online in an easy-to-read format, and redesigning their website to be more user-friendly. Chief Niski says he wants that up by the end of the year. Always watching out for you, Colorado Springs. Colette Bordelon, News 5.
Colette, thanks. And online at KOAA.com, we go in depth on the recruitment process and training officers that the officers go through before they ever hit the streets. You can find all that information right now in the story that's on our homepage.